So it is time to take a look at this Jackery E1500 or Explorer 1500, which actually has an inverter larger than 1500, but I'm going to get into all those specs in this video, so make sure you stay tuned for it. This one has taken me by surprise. There are some big differences between this unit and the smaller Jackery units. This is the Jackery 1000, and I've got also the Jackery 2000 right here. And you can't see, but up here I've got the Jackery 500. I pretty much got all the Jackery units, and guess what? I did not receive any of them for free. I have had to pay for all of these out of my own pocket so I can help give you this review. So if you find this helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. But I want to dive into this and show you all the differences as well as do some real testing on it. See, can it actually take a full load? How fast does it charge off solar? Can you even use your own solar panels? That was the big issue we found with the Jackery 2000, is that it does not work well unless you're using their proprietary panels, which I'm not a huge fan of. But this may be the one that actually changes all of that. So stick around for this full review of the Jackery E1500. Now, I don't want to bore you guys too much with the specs, so I'll put those up over here. But first of all, this unit is much more than it seems. I've had this unit for, I think, 3 months now, and I've been doing testing here and there on it, using it here and there. But one of the things that I have noticed is I left this 100% fully charged. And this has been sitting on my shelf for, I'd say, at least 2 months since I last used it. And it's gone down by 9%. So this is one of those units that you'll have to keep an eye on to make sure that it is fully topped off in case you're going to need it for an emergency. So once every 3 months, you need to pull it out, charge it up, and put it back. For me, I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is pretty natural with lithium-ion batteries or lithium NMC that you want to go that route. Now, the biggest way that this differs from the Jackery 2000 is the wall charger. It has this big block power adapter, and it's a 300-watt wall charger. On the Jackery 2000, you were able to just use a cable like this, no big power adapter needed. Now, it does come with this cool carry case for all your accessories. If you really want to get this to its max capability, you need to use their solar panels, which I don't have because they're super expensive. And I've already spent thousands of dollars on my own other panels, so I don't really want to be spending thousands of dollars more on panels just for a Jackery system. And I tell you guys up front, this is not my go-to system. This is about the smallest you can go for emergency preparedness. It's the same with the EcoFlow Delta. It's pretty much the smallest you want to go with because it doesn't have enough battery capacity or solar input to really last for days and days and days of emergency power use beyond using something like just a refrigerator and a light and a fan maybe. Now, the big downside to something like this is it only has about 500 cycles is its rating on its battery. Now, you have to consider how many times are you actually going to use a system like this and drain it all the way down to 0%? Are you really going to do that 500 times? Because after 500 times, the battery is at 80% efficiency. So you're basically going to have a 1200 watt hour battery instead of a 1500 watt hour battery after using it 500 times. The Titan, it also has lithium NMC or lithium ion batteries, but because of how they're set up, they actually have 2000 cycles on it, which is about the most you can get out of a lithium NMC battery. But basically, the max solar input is 400 watts. That's the most amount of solar you can put into it, which is right on par with the EcoFlow Delta. For a medium-sized solar generator, that's pretty standard, 400 watts of solar input. It's going to take pretty much all day to charge up, especially if you're using a refrigerator while this is charging up. So just plugged in the wall charger. I'm going to go ahead and top this off, and then we'll get straight into the load testing and see how well this does. One thing I have noticed about this screen is I get these weird pixelations. You can see as I move my finger across here, it's like it wants to, I don't know if it's like cracked or something, but it's always been like this. When I originally turned it on, it was far worse. But yeah, you can see like there's flexing and stuff there on the screen. Really weird, but just something to be aware of. One thing I've noticed is when I put this kilowatt meter on any of these plugs, the problem that I'm having is that this will actually cover the screen or cover the display, and since the display doesn't stay on for more than 10 or 15 seconds, I have to constantly be pushing it in order to check it. So, not that everyone's going to be using a kilowatt meter with their system, but just be aware, it is kind of a pain, and that's why I have these little 1-foot extension cords. So we're currently at 1,223 watts, let's go ahead and get it up to 1800 watts and see how long it goes. Well, there it is. It ran to completely empty, and it took 41 minutes to do that. Now you have to keep in mind I was pushing 1800 watts out of this consistently the whole way down, so that in and of itself is quite impressive because that is larger than a 1C rate. Basically meaning you have a 1500 watt hour battery, but 1800 watts of load. So if I'm doing my math right, that's basically 20% more. So basically looking at a 1.2 C rate, which is very high. So I would imagine that if I had pushed 1500 watts continuously, this would have been closer to 45 minutes, which puts this around a 75 to 80% efficiency out of the inverter. So let's go ahead and get the solar panels connected. So it's actually been exactly a week since I filmed the other part of this video. I just had to wait for a clear sunny day, and there are 0 clouds in the sky. It's not even windy, it's perfectly clear. So if you appreciate the fact that I took a week of waiting just to get the ideal conditions for this video for you guys, then go ahead and smash that like button. And if you appreciate stuff like that, then you'll want to subscribe as well. But I've got these 4 panels. They're 4 100 watt panels. These are from poweredportablesolar.com. And the way that I've got them set up is I've got these 2 panels here in parallel. You can see I have these 2-to-1 branch connectors, and then this identical right over here, 2-to-1 branch connectors. So this is one parallel set, and this is another parallel set. So each one of these panels is making about 18 volts and somewhere around 5 or 6 amps. And since the charge controller is rated from 12 to 30 volts, I'm not going over the voltage. That's the biggest thing. You need to make sure you're within range. And then up to 10.5 amps. So this should be exactly in that charge range that is ideal for the Jackery 1500. Just show you real quick how clear the conditions are. Seriously, absolute ideal conditions. It is winter, so the sun is lower in the sky, which means we won't get absolute perfect sunlight coming through the atmosphere. But overall, this is as good as it gets because the panels are cold, so they perform better in the cold, and there's no clouds, no shade from the trees or anything like that. So first of all, you can see we're getting 293 watts into the Jackery 1500 right now. The one thing that I found is that this 8mm small pin to large pin adapter stopped working for some reason. Now, I don't know that they're supplying these anymore. I had to ask for them, but you can use the adapter that comes in the case. So I've got one string of panels here on this, and then I've got another string of panels on the other small pin to large pin adapter that I had from the Jackery 2000. So since basically no one else is really going to be getting these small to large pin adapters, I'm going to go ahead and swap this over to this other secondary adapter. Now these are designed to be used with the Solar Saga 100 panels. Basically you put one panel into each of these and it causes them to go into parallel, just like the 2-to-1 branch connectors out there. One of the other reasons I don't like using the Solar Saga 100 panels is because they use an 8mm connector. I haven't been able to find a 50-foot or 100-foot 8mm cable. With the MC4 cables, you can get those everywhere. I mean, I'll have links down below to where I get mine. You can order them on Amazon, you can get them wherever you want. It is the most common connector that exists for solar. Say it was the middle of summer, I don't want this outside where it's super hot. Or if this is outside, then I have to run extension cords inside to be running my refrigerator or whatever. And then I have these 8mm to MC4 adapter cables, and that makes it all possible, but it's just annoying that if you had 8mm cables only, if you're just using the Solar Saga 100, pretty much would not be able to do that. Okay, so we're at 151, so we're getting about 75 watts per panel, which is really good for this time of year. And now we're getting 287. But I'm not even getting 300 watts into this, and it's rated to 400 watts. Or is it? Because, see, right here, it says 500 watts max input. But then on the very next page, it says solar charger 400 watts. So I don't actually know what the real solar input is. I'm going to say it's 400. And really, there is no way to get more voltage and more amperage to go into this. So bottom line, this is the results speaking for themselves. You can see this is real world use. So the next question is 288 watts in to recharge this going to be good enough? Well, it says I got 5.8 hours until it's fully recharged. So it's not below the 5-hour mark that I need in order to recharge this in a day. So I can get it mostly full if I'm not using anything on it. If I were to plug my refrigerator into this, I'd only be getting a net of about 170 to 180 watts input, which is going to increase that time to a few more hours. So it's really not possible to charge this in a day. And for me, if it's not chargeable in a day, or rather in 5 hours or less, while running something at least like a refrigerator, then it doesn't pass my test. So sadly, this is not one that I can recommend. But as far as a large battery pack, I would say for like e-bikes, this probably holds the same amount of battery capacity as 2 e-bikes. So you'd be able to recharge each bike fully once. So in that sense, it would be good. But other than that, I'm not seeing a huge advantage because this is too big for something like drones and cameras, but not big enough for long-term camping or emergency preparedness. So that's what it is. Take it or leave it. Links are down below. Guys, I do appreciate you tuning in. I now have a Patreon account simply because you guys are asking for it. I truly appreciate it. All of the money that comes in through Patreon, I will not be using personally, but it will 100% be used for buying more equipment like this. So if you're interested, then go ahead and check that out. But above all, I want you guys to be prepared and be ready for any emergency that comes up. I truly appreciate my subscribers. You're the reason why I do this. And now my Patreons, you guys are amazing. I can't believe you guys would do that for me, so I truly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Be prepared, and I will see you guys in the next video.